Come on, be impressive. Crystal clear accuracy. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Man Takes Shoes Out of Box, the episode where you get to sit there and watch me take some shoes out of a box and then tell you what I think of them. Today we have a bit of an unorthodox one if you're going by sneakernomics standards. Usually I'm in the business of giving you guys late reviews, but today, bro, we've got an early review. And to add fuel to the absolute flaming inferno, I didn't even pay for these to get them early. These have actually been sent to me directly by the people in question. Nike and Zellerfeld have sent me the Air Max 1000s. What is going on? They come in a pretty big box, man. It's the big old orange Nike box. The only real differences between this orange box and the regular Nike box is that they've got the little bit of branding on the side there saying Future and Bowerman with this little like holographic circle logo, which has the Air Max 1000 limited sort of lenticular sticker ting there. That's pretty flash, bro. Inside the box, I got a little note here from Zellerfeld just to let you know I'm not capping. I haven't gone out and like bought these and then trying to pass it off as though I'm some kind of like special individual. Shout out to Zellerfeld for sending these out. The paper is pretty cool. It's got, what looks to be sort of like blueprints or a, sketch of the Air Max 1000s, as well as, that sort of like gridded out paper that I'm sure the initial designs were conceived on. Pretty cool stuff. As for the shoes themselves, man, these things are really cool, to be fair, in hand. And I'm not just saying that because I got sent these. If you guys have been following the channel, you'll know that I have been interested in this shoe since we first laid eyes on it last year at ComplexCon. The debut of this sneaker went down nearly a year ago now. The red version was out there for people to cop. The reviews have been floating around. We've seen lots of different colorways out there. But a lot of the sneaker game has been gripped by this shoe because they're so interesting to look at. They are really interesting to feel. And having worn them now pretty much for a lot of the day today, I've got to say they are really interesting on feet, and we'll talk a little bit about the on-foot experience momentarily. But just starting off with the aesthetics, it looks like a Nike shoe, like just the silhouette alone. A lot of the design inspiration comes from the Air Max 1, hence the Air Max 1000. Some of the notable similarities are things like the mudguard wave, which you can see here down the bottom of the shoe. Obviously the inclusion of the air bubble around the back there. The front profile looks pretty similar. The main differences occur when you get to places like the rear of the shoe. But the Air Max DNA coupled together with the 3D sculpted look of this shoe very much give it a up-to-date feel. And so in terms of the aesthetics, I think it's a really, good looking shoe. In terms of the material, so these things are 3D printed, right? And they are comprised of the patented trademark Zellerfoam. If you guys are tapped into the 3D printed shoe game, you'll know who Zellerfeld are. They're pretty much the world's leading company when it comes to 3D printed footwear. They've done work with Nike in the past, or they've done work with adjacent companies to Nike, like the Artifact stuff on the Dunks. They've done the Sean Witherspoon shoe in the recent past. They've got an entire suite of products that you can order. You can scan your feet and have the shoes pretty much custom made. They have a pre-order system which ships in like 3 to 4 weeks, and they seem to have this model currently where they have special collaborative partners working with them on special projects that are made available in limited quantities. So they have a really cool technological setup, they have a really good product, they have a good business model, and they have a pretty savvy marketing approach when it comes to creating new products and then leveraging the influence of certain people in order to get these into the hands of people that are interested. The pricing is pretty expensive, to be fair, for 3D printed shoes. You tend to think that the running costs and the operational costs and the manufacturing costs are fairly low. But when you actually get these in hand, these don't feel cheap. They do feel robust. They do feel of a decent quality. They definitely don't feel like they're going to lose their integrity or disintegrate at any point. So in terms of the materials, I have to say that they feel pretty awesome. Coupled together with the Zellofoam technology, they have the air units in the back, which you can see. On the lateral side, it says Air Max 1000, and then on the medial side, it has Future, and it has Bowerman, obviously a reference to Bill Bowerman. Was of course Phil Knight's running coach back in the day, the man that's responsible for that outsole right there, the waffle outsole. So yeah, these things have got some wicked callbacks to the history and the legacy of Nike legends, both in person and in shoe form. So you've got a few different like compositions in the 3D printing. Obviously you've got the waffle outsole that we just spoke about. The waffle outsole looks like it joins up to the mudguard here, which features, I mean, I'm not sure how to describe it. There probably is a building term or maybe like an architectural type term to describe, or maybe there's like a term on the website that I really should have just read before doing this review. But it almost has the guise of like paint strokes, you know, like under a microscope or something like that. So you've got this paint or brush stroke composition which works its way around to the rear of the shoe to become a little bit more intricately woven. And then above the mudguard, where you'd normally find the upper portion of the shoe, you just get like a flat printed look. You do get a couple of swooshes which have been debossed or inlaid. And then up around where you would normally find the laces and the eyelets, you've got a much more intricately, almost woven type looking aesthetic again, which is like checkered or looks a little bit like a chessboard or something like that with the little bits of square paneling. According to the touch, the bottom region feels like quite firm. Like there is a bit of squish, but it definitely feels quite firm around the bottom of the shoe and the mudguard. The middle portions and as well as the top line starts to feel a little bit more smoother to the touch. And then right around where you normally find the laces, this is a little bit squishier. So the feeling of the materials goes from a much firmer feeling, more robust feeling material around the bottom, and then it gets a little bit more flexible around the top, which I think from a wearability standpoint makes a lot of sense because you want the rides to be somewhat firm and responsive, and you want the upper to be a little bit more supple and a little bit more flexible because obviously that's where a lot of the crease action is going to happen, and that's where you're going to need a little bit more forgiveness. Other bits of branding include a little Nike check across the top of the toe box, and you also get the Air, which has been printed on the back. Inside the shoe, there's nothing going on. It's just like a one-piece thing. There's no insole, nothing like that. Collar of the shoe is nicely sort of cinched in to allow for a good solid fit. That flexibility that I was talking about around the flanks up at the top here allow for you to open the shoe to sort of slip in and slip out of. They have the made in Germany on the inside as well, where Zellerfeld are from and are based. And so yeah, it's basically a wearable sculpture at this point. So I know a lot of you guys out there are going to be interested as to how these fit and how they feel, so let's talk about it. Right, so in terms of how these things fit, I've got a UK 10, which is a half size up to what I would normally go, and going a half size up is absolutely fine. If you wanted to go true to size, I also think you would be fine going true to size. They don't like run small or anything like that. It's just the info that I provided resulted in me getting a pair of UK 10s. I think I would say if you were going to do one or the other, go a half size up rather than going a half size down. I'm not sure if they come in half sizes, but yeah, half size up rather than half size down would be my recommendation. In terms of the comforts, these things are comfy for sure. Like they're not overly heavy, but they do feel like robust, as I've said before. This foam material as well as the air units give a lot of responsiveness. I actually think this could be a genuine all-day wearing type shoe. They're pretty easy to slip into and they're pretty easy to kick off. I didn't feel any pinch points around the heel or around the top line or around the top or anything like that. These, yeah, feel like you can chuck them on and pretty much straight away get on with them. So yeah, comfort is solid. The aesthetic on feet, I think they look funky. It really does look like a futuristic Nike shoe. This colorway, really wearable as well, easy to pair with any number of outfits. Obviously this particular colorway is going to be ripe for ruination given the impending horrible conditions, but I think in terms of keeping these clean, pretty easy really. You can just chuck them in the bath, scrub them up, chuck them in the shower. Right, so let's talk a little bit about the release upcoming. These drop on Tuesday the 19th of August, so very soon. There's also a black pair that's coming out on the Zellerfeld website that I think is going to be quite limited. At $180, they are pretty expensive. What's that, like 150, 160 odd quid? It does feel like a lot of money to be spending on a pair of shoes that was printed out by a machine. It's a piece of history in the sense that it's Nike's first 3D printed shoe that has come to the markets, and we're living in a time and an era where 3D printed shoes are basically all the rage. Like this whole 3D printed era has sort of come off the back of the popularization of the foam shoes, which have been popping off for the last 4 or 5 years. So yeah, are they worth the money? I mean, I'll leave that up to you guys. I was gonna buy these anyway, and I feel like had I copped these, I'd be absolutely fine with it. It's a cool shoe. It's the type of shoe that you just want to have on basically all the time because you can rock them around the house and then keep them on to walk the dogs. And so there we go. Those are my thoughts. An early review. Who would have thought? We've cracked it, man. They're dope. I like them. I've been wearing them all day. I'm gonna be like running some wear tests in them over the next couple of days. If you guys want a bit of an update, maybe let me know in the comments. Comment wear test, and I'll let you guys know how these perform walking the dogs. Maybe go for a little cheeky run, maybe even like play some golf in these. I don't know, it'd be interesting to see how these things hold up, both in terms of how they wear, how they crease, how they react to getting all muddied up. Yeah, we've got nothing to lose having been sent them. So yeah, if you guys want to see that, let me know. Feel free to drop a comment down below, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care for now, and peace.